Hey, welcome back to the Conscious Hope podcast. It's your girl, Yolanda. I love you. I want to send you all the good vibes and good energy. Today's episode is going to have tea. And this feels really weird and very vulnerable because I share a lot of tea on my close friends. So that's like an access only kind of thing. But I want to tell you a story and it has a lesson behind it. And specifically, a lesson if you are someone that has ever felt or considered yourself to be too much. And this is something that at some point in our lives, I think that we all will deal with, even when you're doing the work and working on becoming your best, most authentic and expressed self. That can be a very vulnerable place to be. And when you're dating and maybe you have some scarcity around that, especially when you're over 35, I'd say scarcity around, are there going to be men that want you? Because society will say all kinds of things that, women after a certain age that, they're just washed up has-beens. Nobody wants to be with them. And for me, I don't fucking buy into that at all. I will be 39 this year. I don't have kids. I've never been married. And for me, I just feel like I come with a lot less, quote, don't take this the wrong way, but I do. I feel like I come with a lot less baggage. So for a man that might be 45, pushing 50, if we go into that upper level of age, you could be a fucking gem to somebody like that. And I know for my ex-partner, that kind of was how it was for him. He had already had kids. He had already done the thing, didn't want to be married. I was a good thing walking into his life. Okay. So I just wanted you to kind of think about that. I am going to start this out with a little story time tea. I want you to know that all names, times, places will be changed to protect the innocent. Because I don't date for content. I date because I genuinely enjoy going out and meeting people. I am a very social person. I do like to preface that dating people does not equate or mean that you are sleeping with people. A lot of people will put those two things together, and no, I've been celibate for, I'm just saying celibate because that feels good, but I haven't hooked up with anyone in, I don't know. This was like the first period that I got in a long time where I was like, oh yeah, I know my period's coming like clockwork. We got nothing to worry about. But yeah, and that just feels good. And I don't know what it is. I just haven't felt the need to have that physical connection with someone, I guess, right now. Or the potential fact that, I don't know. I just have not had the desire to hook up. Break into the story time. I've got a text message that I want to share with you all, but I do believe that I need to tell you this story. Let's call him Brad. Okay. So Brad connects with me on an app. And then I notice that Brad is following me right after that. And of course, because I matched with Brad on the app, I said, hey, I'm really looking forward to connecting with you. However, I prefer for people that I may potentially have the opportunity to get to know or go out on a date with. I would much rather you get to know me in real life and not judge me or try to put together these pictures or stories of what you think about me from my social media. And Brad said, okay, fine, no problem. So we went back and forth and we just chatted. I don't do much of the small talk. That's just not my vibe. Also, if you are new here and you've not listened to the episode 22, the one that I did right before this one, I talk all about social media and why I have some really strong boundaries, even as someone that shows up on social media with men, why I don't follow them, yada, yada. I give you 5 things. Go and listen to that one after this one. If you are someone that gets real hung up on social media and men following you or looking at your stories, because I think that when you follow someone too soon or try to be in their lives in this way, and I post a lot, guys, and I've posted a lot on social media for a long time. it just takes away some of that fun and it takes away some of that mystery. So go listen to that episode because it's really important. So anyway, so Brad unfollows me on Instagram. We talk, and then eventually we land on a day that we are going to get together and go out and meet. And Brad is successful, and from what I could tell, lives a nice, very comfortable life. So that's a little bit of backstory on Brad. And he's a little bit older than I am. So that's what we're going to say about Brad. So we land on a day that we're going to meet. I remember being kind of nervous about it, but I always feel that nervousness when it comes to a first date or dating anxiety, that comes up for you because there's something about you that is afraid to be yourself in front of a person. Dating is a very vulnerable thing. And I don't believe in you showing up on a date and being anything except for who the fuck it is that you are. So I go, Brad and I are going to meet on an afternoon over the weekend. And I get to the place where we had decided we're going to meet. And he's sitting there and he's waiting. You know, you do your little pleasantries and get a drink. And then he says, well, do you like a certain kind of food? Again, we're going to keep this very vague. And I'm like, oh, yeah, sure. So we're eating, we're having a good time. We started our date in the later afternoon, and we were at this place till it was dark, probably 9:30, 10. So it was like a 6-hour date. I suggest that you do have boundaries around how long you go out and spend time with people, because I do think that in a way you might be shooting yourself in the foot. But just remember this, that the right person that you're meant to hang out with and be with, and that's going to be for you, is going to be for you. It will never matter what you say to them. It will never matter how long you hang out with them, because that person is just going to be the one that's going to hold you, see you, hear you, and be for you. And I believe the way that I approach dating and the way that I coach my clients, it's about trusting themselves, looking at their patterns, looking at how they might typically fall into certain kind of habits or thoughts when it comes to dating. And I encourage them and guide them on becoming curious with themselves. There's so much dating content, and I put out dating content too, and advice and all of these things. But in my personal opinion, dating is about you finding your own blueprint, finding out what works for you and what does not work for you. And that is going to be different for all of us. And so that's really what my program does, is it helps women become very empowered in their dating lives. And as they become more empowered with how they make decisions around men, how they show up around men, it happens to bleed into other parts of their lives too. Okay. So should you have boundaries around how long you spend with someone? Who cares? I don't believe that any person that you meet is a waste of your time if you take on my philosophy, which is that people that you meet in your lives serve as teachers, messengers, or guides. And this example, Brad served as a messenger for me, as a reflector for me to look at how far I've come in my own confidence and self-empowerment when it comes to dating. So let's get back into the story. Brad and I go, we have a fucking great time. He drops me off and he's like, well, I really would like to see you again. Okay, great. So Brad hits me up a few days later, asks what I'm doing on another particular evening, and says, great, I want to take you to dinner. So he takes me to dinner. We have a good time. We vibe. We ate so much fucking food, dude. So much food. And it was really good. We had a great time. And then we went our separate ways, went home, yada, yada. So then the following day after that particular date, second date, Brad sends me this text message. And I'm going to read you the text message because I think it's really important for you, one, to ask yourself, how would you feel if someone sent you this text message? And I'm going to be very open and candid about how I felt when I received this message as someone that's now been single for I don't know, probably like a year and 9 months. We're coming up on 2 months in September, or 2 years in September. How differently I interpret that message a year and 9 months single versus how differently I would interpret this message newly single. And there's a huge difference. So Brad sends me this text and says, hey, there's something that's been weighing on me. I find you incredibly hot, and I think that's blinded me to us probably being on very different wavelengths. You seem like a fantastic girl, but frankly, I don't think I can, and he quotes, keep up. Now, what you need to know about this was I had a relatively wild night one night, and I'm just sharing my life. I don't feel like I need to censor or be worried about being judged of what somebody thinks about anything that I do or any choice that I make. But I could see how my social life, my free spiritness, may be way too fucking much, quote, way too much for someone that is not in that same space, for someone that does not have a container that's large enough to hold all of my energy. And a lot of times in my dating bios, I actually say that I'm a highly energetic person. I hope you can keep up. And it's just, and men, I believe, always want the feisty, spicy girl. And then they get that bitch and it's like, oh shit, bro, like pump your brakes. And that's totally fine. That is, he says that he was worried that he couldn't keep up. And there was something that he had said prior to us even going on this date that I was like, dude, if you're nervous, just say you're nervous. I already was picking up on the fact that, maybe he was a little, not even put back or taken back, just that I was not his person. Because I don't want to say that I was too much. I don't want to say that he wasn't enough. We just were not compatible in a way. But for me, I like going out with people. I look at dating as, I have really different viewpoints on dating too, because I live in a really hip city. So there's a lot of connections that also can be made. And I don't go out on dates with any hidden agenda. The only agenda I have is to sit down, enjoy a drink, maybe have a meal, whatever it might be, with this person, and for it to fucking naturally unfold. I have no expectations behind it. I even have this tattoo, no rules, no expectations, because that became my mantra when I would find myself getting so hung up on dudes. Like first date, second date, third date, and then they go through fifth date or whatever. And it really was just like, you know what? I don't need to judge myself for what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, because I am learning so much about myself. And I have this opportunity to really sit down and look at myself as I am going on dates. And I was in therapy for much of my singleness. And really, when I was really, really dating, and my therapist, y'all, she fucking loved the dating stories. She was all like, oh, well, how's Sushi Guy? Or, oh, how's Gym Bro? It was just so funny. But she loved it. And it was really helpful for me, I think, in just navigating and looking at myself and who I was and how I acted and how I've really been able to work on my communication skills. And there's an episode that I did. It's like 15 things I think that you should do before you get into your next long-term relationship. Absolutely. Fucking go to therapy. If you've never been, go. If you're a brown person, your ass definitely needed to have been in therapy like 25 years ago. Real talk. Okay. So anyway, so I could sense that maybe he was a little, I don't want to label what he felt, but there was just something where it was like, well, maybe we are off, but I'm going to go, I'm going to have a good time because I like to network. And I do feel as though I've made just some really great connections here in Austin. Okay. So for me, I don't have expectations. I'm going to vibe with a human. If we like each other, great. If we don't, great. And I'll keep your phone number because who just ever knows, right? So then he expresses that he didn't think that he could keep up. And then he said, I don't know if any of this makes sense, but something is just fucking with me and I don't know exactly what it is. Okay, Brad, thank you so much. To which I replied, It doesn't have to make sense to me if it makes sense to you. Your intuition is your guide. I appreciate your honesty. And life is short, and I'm here to add light, fairy airiness to people and not to be weight. So I guess this is the part where we say, wishing you all the best. And he just wrote back and was like, yeah, I think that you're such a cool person. I wish you such good luck, yada, yada. Okay. So here is what I'm hoping in sharing this with you. As someone that shows up as a dating coach, is very confident in many aspects. And I feel very confident in dating to this point. I really don't get nervous. When I get nervous, I check myself and I understand, oh, there's something about me that feels like I can't express or be myself. And I check that shit at the fucking door, because nobody has time to continue to fit in these boxes that we've been fitting into because society said, or somebody's mom thinks you should be a certain way, or maybe your mother thinks that you should be a certain way, or your family's going to disown you because you act a certain way. And I think a lot of me being a nurse at a point in my life and just watching and understanding how fucking short life is and how much death and dying that I've seen. And I don't know that many nurses will process this or really step back and reflect. It's fucking morbid. But what you will understand and what you will see is life is fucking short. I could go out here tomorrow and life be over, gone, done as I know it. Why should I be watering myself down, fitting myself in a box for anybody? And I want to give you that too. Why are you doing that? Why are you so nervous to be yourself around people? And a lot of people will have this, this whole, well, maybe it's because I'm too much. Maybe I was too much for this man. Maybe I was too loud. Maybe my spirit was too free. Blah, 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 bullshit. If you're not for that person, it doesn't matter. Why would you want to hang out with somebody that you don't have a compatibility with anyway? Like, think about that. But we will get so butthurt, we'll get our feelings hurt, or we will get caught up in this pattern of being rejected. And people don't love being rejected. So I want to tell you that I get rejected. But it is so much better to be rejected and not have this, oh, I wonder why he stopped texting me, versus someone that could use their words and communicate. And for me not to judge what he was feeling, you get to feel what the fuck you feel. The same goes with us. Every dude that hits me up or tries to take me out on a date, yeah, I don't want to fucking go out with every guy that hits me up and offers that opportunity. It's not for everyone. I'm not for everyone, right? So what I want to say, and putting this back to the Brad situation and coming back into that with you guys, Yolanda, post-relationship, coming out of that, would have really sat with herself and been like, what are you doing wrong? What did you say? How did you act? Would have battled all of these fucking things. Yolanda, 1 year, 9 months. Oh, cool, bro. And she celebrates herself. And I want you to think about celebrating yourself every time you're rejected or every time you're ghosted. Ghosting sucks. And if you don't like being ghosted, stop fucking ghosting other people, because women do that. We do that too. And then we bitch and cry and complain when men do that, but we're fucking doing the same thing. We're not using our words. I am all about a conscious hoe. It's not a derogatory word. It's about a woman that honors and owns empowerment. It's about you taking ownership of yourself, of your actions, your reactions, and how you communicate and show up and express yourself. As I was having this revelation where I was sharing it on my close friends about Brad, I had that. I celebrated. Whoa, you are literally attracting and also repelling people. And that's where showing up as yourself, I'm in marketing for those of you guys that don't know. Showing up as yourself is a lot like marketing. Think about it. Wendy's is going to attract someone that potentially likes to eat out, might be all on the go, doesn't necessarily give a shit about their health. Those commercials are in cheap prices are going to attract a certain person. And it is going to repel the more health conscious person, the person that likes to be at home, doesn't want to eat out. And Wendy's doesn't give a fuck about repelling the health conscious person because that's not even who they're there for. The same thing goes for you in dating. I promise you, it is the same thing. You are supposed to be repelling people away from you. Sit with that. Think about it. You are supposed to repel people away. And when you push them away, in a way, because you're showing up, you're expressive, you are in your motherfucking power, I need you to start celebrating that, not looking at yourself as something bad. Even if you thought that the person that has rejected you was hot shit, was super successful, had all the things on paper, you got so caught up in the us, the we, and all of these things that you couldn't even feel or tell that maybe there's a little something off there. Okay. And so for me, again, I don't go on dates with this intention of, at least right now, that's not where I'm at. I don't have this intention of, I'm looking for a husband. And that might never be your bitch for real. I don't know about that. Right. But it just is, my intention is go out, have a good time, meet people. Hey, if we vibe, we hit it off and you want to see me again and I want to see you again, guess what? That's what we're going to do. And there needs to be no pressure on that. We just get to show up and be. Okay. And if at any time that feels weird to me, if it feels weird to you, we're going to express and be adults and use our words and communicate that. There's another point that I want to bring up real quick, and then I think we're going to wrap this bitch up. When I was telling a friend about this, about Brad and the situation, and she said, oh, well, he can go find less. And it's not about somebody finding less. Because if someone has to go find less, then you are perpetuating the narrative that you are too much, right? Because the opposite of less is more, right? And it's not about that. It is about you finding who and what you are compatible with. 100%. 100 fucking percent. Okay? Not everyone is meant for you. And what I will tell you, that the person that is going to date me seriously and be in a relationship with me has to have a large container. And I understand that about myself. So when people are like, what are you looking for? It's not even a look. It's going to be a feeling. It's going to be, oh my gosh, I can be my big, loud ass, expressive self and this person's energy. And you know what? They got me. They got me. And that feels so good. And I will say, there probably been about 1.5, 2 people, like, you talk about like the 2.5 kids. Yeah, it's probably been about 2.5 men that I would really have to sit and think about this, but I understand that it's just big. I'm little, but the container that is needed for all of this is big. And I don't apologize for that. And if anything, it's for me to be my truest self and to show up and be in that bigness. Because if someone's container is not large enough to hold it, I'm potentially stepping into this space where you could say you're wasting your time, but I'm stepping into something where eventually the lack of space within the container is going to become suffocating to me. No, we just don't do that, right? That just seems like a misuse of your energy, is what I want to say. So again, I understand that I am big. It is a lot. I am not going to stop being anytime soon the woman that will go out with a friend, as I just did last weekend. We'll go out with one of my girlfriends, have a couple cocktails, maybe meet someone that I'm interested in, and then somehow all three of us go out and we end up getting tattoos, me and my friend. I'm not ready to not be that person. And I don't know that I'm ever going to stop because that is who I am. Wild and free, real raw and free as fuck. Literally, those words describe me. And I said something on an Instagram post yesterday, I believe. And it was like, oh, I can't pull it up here. And I really want to quote myself. Hold on. Okay. So the quote that I used that just came to me as I was writing a caption was, when you find yourself, you can be yourself. I want to say that again. When you find yourself, you can be yourself. And in finding myself, I have found that she is big, she is wild, her energy is real, raw, and free as fuck. And so that's who she gets to be. Bestie, I'm going to leave this episode with you with some questions for you potentially to sit with as you listen to this episode or as you step into a journaling practice. I want you to think about asking yourself, what parts of yourself do you love? Like 100%, you're like, this is me. And then what parts of you do you wish you could express more freely? Are you creative? Are you a little quirky? Are you a little nerdy? But you put on this facade for other people and it's not really you. What parts of you do you want to express more freely? And the next question I want to give you is, where are you judging certain parts of yourself? Because I've spent a lot of time judging myself for, am I too loud? Again, quote, am I too much? No. It's who she is. It's who she be. Okay. So think about that for yourself. And then the other question that I'm going to leave you with is, where do you feel that other people judge you? Is there a space in your life where you feel that other people are judging you? And what I want to say about that too is that people really only care most about themselves. And we'll put a lot of energy to worrying about what someone else thinks. And I promise you that what you need to put your energy into is what you think of you. But when it comes to dating, remember this. You can ask a man what he wants. And he might tell you whatever he's going to tell you. And then you might try to fit in that box of what he wants. But why do that if that's not what you want? Don't be in this scarcity mindset that there's not someone out here for you and that you have to settle in being someone that you are not. Again, I got to be with a man that's going to ride with my ass when I'm out at the bars, having a good time with my friends. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get a tattoo, random ass shit. Random. I need that kind of bigness, that kind of energy, someone that is secure in that. And so again, I'm not looking for anything. I just know I will feel it when it comes. If you have been watering yourself down or putting yourself down in a box, what I can always assure you that will happen is that you will become so fucking disconnected from yourself and who you are, and you will start resenting people, things, and mostly yourself. You will fucking sit around and hate yourself for not being yourself. So why are you not showing up as yourself? And if you continue to mute or water down who you actually and truly are in your core, you are just going to have all of these experiences where life just feels like a waste. And it's not. But until you can flip the switch and see that you're not wasting time. You're learning lessons. You're learning that, oh, it doesn't feel good when I can't show up as myself. It doesn't feel good. And I know it doesn't. And again, I need the kind of man that's like, it's a Tuesday. We're having a great time. We're having a great dinner. And maybe also there's a in my pocket. Just the wild freeness. And I don't know. And I'm not promoting any kind of tool usage, by the way. I'm just giving you a crazy example, right? But someone that just is that same free spirited ass energy. However, I do know that for me, that person needs to have a little bit of structure because I have zero structure. So that is where I know someone could come in and really like not help me, but be a compliment to my energy. I could definitely use some structure. But yeah, they got a fucking vibe, dude. And it's just not everyone. It's not everyone. I don't know where he's at. And it doesn't even matter because he'll show up when it's time. We'll be ready. And it'll just be off of a feeling. I really feel that. So instead of you potentially being out here looking for something, try on being out here feeling for something. And I'm going to leave you with that because now I got to go edit this shit and shorten it down because it's way longer than I want it to be. But I do want to leave you with my mission, which is to empower you to embrace living a life that is real, raw, and free as fuck. I love you so much. And I will see you next Friday, bestie.